Is this sweet? I can't tell.
That's enough of that.
A long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, we just saw Star Wars: The Force Awakens.
And also, a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, there was such a thing as a good Star Wars movie until now.
Yeah, it has been 32 years.
Yes.
Since there was a Star Wars movie. Because I don't count the prequels as Star Wars movies.
Yeah.
As someone rightly said.
We're going to talk about it. We went to... There's no spoilers, by the way.
Yeah, there will be absolutely zero spoilers in this review.
Nope.
Keith, I think you should fix the camera, because, like...
Keep talking. I'll fix it.
So yeah, we saw it in IMAX 3D at 1:30 in the morning. It was a pretty cool experience. We got to the
first
theater.
in line.
Yeah, we got to the theater at like 9:30 and then waited till 1, pretty much.
Basically.
We got there like 9:45. We got in line. We were actually at the back of the line for the 10:15 showing.
Yeah.
So we were basically first in line for ours.
Yeah. We got great seats.
The theater had like these lights, had Star Wars shining all over the building, and the theater we saw is like an independent theater that's more local to us, and the lines wrapped around both buildings because there's the IMAX theater and there's the regular theater. Mm-hmm. It was pretty crazy. So yeah. Star Wars. It's kind of crazy that this movie is like a thing now.
Yeah,
I know. It's like
we've been talking about.
This has been a thing that like has been like, I can't wait for this to happen for 2 years, and now it's happened.
As of right now, 523 days until episode 8.
Don't start.
There's already the countdown has already begun.
As fast as time goes anymore, it'll be here before you know it.
Yeah.
Less than a year now till Rogue One, at least.
I mean, and they're 6 months into development of episode 8, so that means they're chugging right along. Yep. They started in like June.
Yep. But we're not here to talk about that.
No.
What do you guys think of Force Awakens? Keith?
I'm gonna make my two radical statements that get more radical as it goes on.
As we go on.
So the first one is, I think this is the best movie I've seen all year. In my personal opinion.
I am okay with that opinion.
Yeah.
Because it just might be. It's the only movie that I've seen this year that I've wanted to like go see again in theaters.
And then my slightly more radical statement, only slightly.
I don't know.
It might not be, but this is my favorite Star Wars movie they've ever made. I think this is probably one.
Are you too in the moment right now?
No, I've thought about it. I've thought about it, and I was because I realized when I had this thought, I was like, I don't want to make this statement off of the high. And I sat there and I thought about it, and I looked at like things with the movie, and I'm like, okay, what does this movie do really good compared to the prequels, and what is it?
Yeah.
Or I mean, compared to like the original trilogy, because that's like the benchmark. And I compared it to like episode 5. And I'm like, what does it do? It's like, okay. And I still come up to the same conclusion. Like, I've had over 24 hours to think about this. Mm-hmm. And honestly, not much has been on my mind besides this movie.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
So I think I've mulled it over for plenty long to make this. I mean, maybe eventually down the road, like, I might reevaluate it again, but I think I'm with a very clear head to say that it's my favorite Star Wars movie that they've made. It's what the prequel trilogy should have been.
Yes.
When everybody got excited for the prequel trilogy, which the prequel trilogy with the advancements in special effects and whatnot, those were supposed to be the best Star Wars movies ever made. They were supposed to be better than the original trilogy because it's new technology. That's what this is, in my opinion.
But I think my dad was right in saying, at least for now, for me, this is the second best Star Wars movie. It's just under Empire Strikes Back for me. But it's a very close second. And that is subject to change depending on where they go with some of the character development, because I'm a little bit worried. I'll say that right now about one of the characters and how he could develop. But other than that, as a Star Wars fan, this movie is everything you want it to be.
I think this is my third favorite Star Wars movie, behind 5 and 6. But you know, when the movie finally started and it comes up and the music starts playing, Star Wars comes up, and then the scroll starts playing, it's just like everybody's cheering. It's just like you almost want to like cry of happiness. It was
I almost did.
It didn't become real until that moment.
It was like, dude,
like,
yes.
we're there, we're waiting in line. It's like it's coming. Like, it's not real yet. It's not real yet.
Yeah.
And then you're sitting there in the theater, and you're like, it's not real yet. And you're sitting through the previews,
and then
it's not real yet. And then, boom! It comes on the screen. You're like, yes.
And then you, I mean, not spoiling anything, but the opening of this movie is amazing.
The opening's great.
It is so good, especially when you compare it to Episode 1.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God. It's like, let's talk about trades and all that stuff, and it's like...
No, let's just...
Boom!
Minimal spoiler, there is a confrontation at the beginning of this movie, as there should be with most Star Wars movies.
Yeah, if you thought the prequels were kind of slow in
up.
terms of action and just plot development and all that stuff...
Don't worry about that.
This movie goes at 100 fucking miles an hour. This movie goes faster, in my opinion, than
this movie
the
covered
original trilogy.
A lot of plot very quickly and did it very well.
Yeah,
I didn't feel like it was bogged down by. I feel like a lot of directors or writers would try to explain everything that happened in the 30 years, like in depth.
They really didn't. It kind of left you wondering, okay, what happened?
Yeah, they explained some things. I imagine that as this trilogy goes along, we're going to learn more and more and more.
Yeah.
Or maybe they eventually do one film in between there. Maybe. I mean, who knows? I mean, I don't think that's necessary, but it could be really cool.
Yeah.
But
I wouldn't say do a story that is with any of the characters. I'd say like its own story that's like explains. You know what I mean? Like
directly after the Empire is defeated,
or just sometime in between, and it just kind of covers like the changing point of how.
Or maybe
things
you don't
evolve.
even do a movie. Maybe you have someone write a book or something. Say this is canon. This is what happens. That might be best to cover the years.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, like a new.
It's called there's a book called Aftermath.
Oh, okay. Did not know that. There you go.
There's like a whole bunch of stuff called the Road to the Force Awakens or something like that. And it's a whole bunch of like books and like not documentaries, but like documentary style books and things like that.
Okay.
Stories.
Somebody pointed out to me a very interesting thing, that somebody made a Star Wars fan film back like 2008, 2009 that was like their version of what happens after Episode 6. And do you know what this thing's called? Star Wars The Force Awakens. And it was made almost 10 years ago. Apparently it's actually really good, by what I've heard. So, like, that's just an interesting little tidbit.
Yeah. Anyways, what do you guys not like about this movie? Because there's more to like than to not like, in my opinion. So, what do you guys not like or found just kind of iffy or not as good as it could have been? Or I think we can all agree that the one concern that a lot of people have is that this movie is very structurally similar to A New Hope.
Yes.
Without spoiling, plot details.
Yeah,
there's that is
eerily
concern.
Similar. Like, they played it safe with this movie in ways.
That is a concern. I'm willing to give it a pass just because it was done well.
Yeah, that's my feeling.
But I'm concerned about future character development for one of the main central characters of this movie. Because it makes me think too much of the prequels. And you all know what I'm saying. I'm trying not to spoil anything.
Yeah. It's kind of hard to talk about this movie without
because
spoiling.
It's like
That is my main
as
problem.
long as it's no, I would say as long as is what you're mentioning about a character doesn't spoil anything of the plot. I mean, probably.
Yeah,
But I think what you're going towards no, like I have some things that I think that I might say
there's
about some
one
of the new
character
characters.
that could potentially turn out to be a whiny little bitch, and I don't want it to happen because otherwise it's gonna just make me think of the prequels too much, and I want to erase them from my memory.
I think one of my main concerns is that, kind of the same thing, but even beyond that I don't want this series to follow the same formula.
Yeah,
that too.
As the original
Yeah.
trilogy.
Yeah,
There
I
can be
agree.
homages. Like, I think what they did with this movie is that there are homages. Like, you know, again, it's not too much of a spoiler because they talk about it. I mean, and everybody knows it. Like, you know, how Rey and Luke are kind of from similar situations. They're on like a desert planet and they're not living by, but they changed that enough
Yeah.
to where it's
Yeah.
like where it counted, they changed it. I feel like
Yes.
like things like that.
But I feel like when this movie wasn't following the original trilogy's path of, or mostly A New Hope, is when it shined the most.
Yes.
in my opinion. So it's just like
Like
no,
they gave you
stop.
more action with Rey,
Yeah,
and they kind of just threw Finn at you,
yeah.
kind of right out of nowhere.
I went into that movie and I was like, I'm not gonna like him, and he turned out actually being one of my favorite characters
He
because
turned out being different than I thought he was.
Yeah.
exactly that was my thing. They actually talk about. I mean, with him, they talk about something. I mean, it's not even really a spoiler. That I mean, again, I don't know that much about Expanded Universe, so they probably do talk about it about like becoming a stormtrooper. Like what
Yeah.
happens? Like where does it start?
Like
and they
the
talk,
whole indoctrination process,
and, like, you
and all
know,
that, yeah.
you know, is it again, I won't say what, even though it's not that big of a thing, is it like it's not, I guess some people probably do volunteer, but they do take people and again put them
And
through the
indoctrinate
indoctrination.
them, yes.
And so it's just I saw him being the whiny character. I was like, I just looked at him and all the terrorists. I'm like, I'm not gonna like you like at all. And he ended up
Yeah, I can see that.
so.
Another concern, or just something that bothered me just a little bit, is how much fan service is in this movie. It kind of becomes a little bit overbearing towards the end, because it's just like this reference to this original trilogy movie, and here's this, and that, and that, and that, and that, and that, and that, and it's like, just get away. I know you're tying into it. No, I'm not saying all of it was bad. It's just there was a hair too much of just
I
a
get what
little
you're
bit
saying.
unnecessary fan service in my
Yeah.
opinion. Like, I think they did really good when they show R2-D2 and all that stuff. But I thought, it's not a spoiler, but when they mentioned the trash compactor,
Okay, that's
that
like a
was
little too much.
unnecessary.
I
In
can
my
see that.
opinion. Like, there was just a couple of unnecessary fan service things that I hope they got it all out with this movie and they could fucking move forward.
I think I'm of the opinion, and I saw when the Screen Junkies, they did their review, which they did in a spoiler review, they said that the fan service, like, yeah, there's a lot, but at least to me, it's not so much where it becomes a problem.
Yeah,
Like,
it's not
there.
100% a problem. It's just a couple references I thought were unnecessary, but it's nice in ways because it definitely ties it into the original trilogy well. It makes it feel a little bit more connected, lore-wise and all
Yeah.
that stuff, which is nice. Just, it doesn't need to be all the time, in my opinion. Those were the only two things that, stood out to me.
Yeah.
I was like, whatever. But I thought, too, the performances from a lot of characters were incredible.
Yes.
Daisy Ridley as Rey, I've never heard of her.
This
Neither have I, but-
this is like her first big movie.
Yeah,
Damn.
she did a phenomenal job as
Yes.
Rey. I was very, very impressed. And at times, Rey can get a little bit on your nerves because you know what she should do, but she doesn't do it. But that's because she's learning. That's just the way the character's written. But I thought she did a great job, and I don't know the actor who played Finn. I'll look it up, but he did.
John Boyega.
John
Boyega,
yes. Like, he did a great job as well.
Yeah,
Adam Driver's Kylo Ren did great as well, and Oscar Isaac as
Oscar Isaac.
Poe. was awesome.
I think
all the new characters are cool.
I think
Love them.
I think all the new characters are cool, and I mean from the performance and also again the characters. All right, I mean like I said, I already talked about Rey. You know, again, there's the similarities between her and Luke, but again, without a spoiler, her whole mindset about everything is completely different.
Yeah.
I'm trying to and then also I really like Kylo Ren as a villain. Just because he's not a classic.
No,
he's not the classic evil. Like that's one thing about Darth Vader. Darth Vader, I know he's like the ultimate evil character.
He's the classic evil villain,
but he's boring. I mean, he's kind of boring.
He's very stoic. He's very cold. He's very calculated.
Whereas you see Kylo Ren.
Ren is unstable. He's very much unstable.
Like Kylo Ren's very powerful. And it bothers me, the people out there that are saying that he's weak. It's like, are you fucking kidding me? He's very powerful, but like you said, he's mentally unstable, where Darth Vader was more mentally there.
Yeah.
And, was more, this is my mission.
Yeah.
Let's accomplish this,
I know one complaint that a lot of people have that I don't see is that, and again, I'll try to word this correctly, that like, the new force powers that specifically Kylo Ren has, like you're not supposed to be able to do that from some of the stuff that he does. But then the way that I look at it is that like when you go to become a Jedi or whatever, you learn you're kind of taught rules.
Yeah,
and then he, for part of his backstory, doesn't learn those rules, so he's not restricted down by this is what you can do.
Yeah,
and so that's why he has these. He can do
crazy
stuff.
I can kind of hopefully say this spoiler free, I think. There are enough nods, enough tips of the cap to the expanded universe with certain things about certain characters. And I feel like I will be able to talk with you guys about that more in depth.
Later.
Because I don't want to say too much because that would spoil it for some people that haven't seen the movie yet.
Yeah.
That know the expanded universe very well.
I'm trying to... Hold on, I'm just looking something up.
Okay.
I found him. Domhnall Gleeson, who played the General Hux, did a phenomenal fucking job as well.
Yeah.
The scene... it's shown in the trailer where there's all these stormtroopers out there.
Yeah, that seems really good.
He's speaking. It's like, wow, that was breathtaking. Watching that's crazy.
That scene is also very important.
Yeah,
and trying to give me 2 seconds. Okay, got it. Is important because it does what the prequel trilogies. And again, before we saw the movies, I mentioned this. Two of the biggest questions asked about the original trilogy was how does Anakin become Darth Vader and how does the Empire come about? Yeah. So what's the prequel trilogies bogged down with? Anakin's path to the dark side and politics. Whereas that scene there hints at politics just enough where I'm like, this is really interesting. Like, how does this...
Yeah, I would like to know...
How does this work? Like, what?
I would like to know how the First Order came about very much.
Yeah. I agree.
I also want to know if I'm hoping, I'm pulling for the next movie that the Knights of Ren become talked about or become a thing because they are shown in one spot.
Are they?
Not saying what it is, but they are shown in one spot, and I'm like, oh, that's okay.
This movie also, if you are. I just watched the prequels 2 weeks before this just to get caught up on 100% Star Wars story. If you thought the prequels just look bad, and they do look bad many times because of the CG, this movie looks incredible. Because it's a lot of practical effects, real sets, like BB-8 is a real fucking thing, which is a great cool character, by the way.
Yeah, BB-8 is a great character.
Incredible. Just so good.
And
so in terms of looks, I mean, this movie's production is incredible.
I think that was probably one of the greatest highlights of the movie was just the mix of the the practical with the CG.
Yeah,
like
did
the CG was
just
done
the way it should be.
Done just enough to make it like
to just go beyond
effects
disbelief,
believable. Yeah. Yes, it just took you a step beyond with the practical effects of just the props of the ships and
the only thing CG wise that bothered me was again the aliens in the first part of the movie.
On that one.
Yeah, that was like.
That was I mean that was
still didn't look as bad as the prequel.
I didn't look as bad, and then at least me personally, like again another nod of us hating on the prequel trilogy, which is really easy, and I mean they deserve it. George Lucas got really also bogged down in world creating, and he created these worlds that are like, like Mustafar. It's like you have to make that world. Whereas, I mean, since all of the worlds are these sets, you know, like the what I don't know what the First Order base world is, the snow world, and then there's the Jakku is like a desert. You know what I mean? Like that to me speaks even more volumes, and again than Kashyyyk or Mustafar or Geonosis. Like it's just.
I agree. I mean, sometimes I thought the world building in the prequels was pretty cool looking. Sometimes
it just
like Coruscant looks fucking awesome when you pull back, but when you get close in, it's like.
But what I mean is that
I agree. I like
so much
it better.
focus on it.
Yeah,
like,
I like it better. You know how you're saying, but yeah I agree. I was gonna fucking say something, but I forget.
All right.
Wow.
The soundtrack of this movie is fucking
on point.
On point. It's still done by
John Williams.
I blanked on his name. Still done. He came in and he did it.
John Williams and his London Symphony Orchestra, ladies and gentlemen.
And he's... Yeah, I mean, nobody else should ever touch any of these movies. Ever.
Yeah.
They should just sit him in a room and have him record thousands and thousands of hours of stuff. And then they just... pick.
It felt like a lot of just every word was very carefully thought about in this movie. Everything was very thought dialogue. About. Everything was so just well done for the most part.
It was so refreshing to have good dialogue with good actors and just actual love and care.
And the performances from some of the original actors, Carrie Fisher, Harrison Ford, Mark Hamill, were good.
Right.
Carrie Fisher was the only one.
She was a little flat,
but Harrison Ford, Mark Hamill, great.
On point, on point,
very great.
Also, Chewie,
but you can't really fuck up Chewie.
But I thought his makeup is like the best ever because you can actually see facial expressions. Like he raises his eyebrows. I'm like, he could do that before.
And you know what?
Yeah,
I want a goddamn bowcaster.
Yeah.
Like, they actually showed off the bowcaster in this movie. Like, they showed Chewbacca with it, but I don't think they ever actually show him shooting one in the original trilogy. But like in the Star Wars lore, these things are like incredibly powerful. God damn, they are.
It's great. Yeah. Is there anything else?
Wookiee Rampage.
One last major thing I want to say is that this movie has a lot of comedy in it. Just very smartly placed. For the most part.
Yeah.
Sometimes sometimes the comedy felt a little bit unnecessary, where it was a very intense moment and kind of didn't need that. But a lot of times it really worked. Say what you will, it felt very Pirates of the Caribbean like to me.
Yeah.
Where Pirates of the Caribbean has this kind of serious story when you think about
Curse
it.
of the Black Pearl, Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yeah, but there's comedy just here and there, and it really spices everything up, and it had a lot more comedy and sarcasm and all this stuff than I thought it was going to have, and I like it.
They actually did it right, unlike Phantom Menace, where they tried to add comedy. Yeah. And I agree that scene of Jar Jar walking around on Tatooine, he steps in and he steps in shit. That's a metaphor for the prequel trilogy.
Jar Jar Binks was supposed to be Snoke.
No.
Did you guys know that?
Oh no.
I also read about that. That's what Andy Serkis said, but they killed that.
Please, thank you for killing that. Thank you.
How awful would that
have been?
Anyway.
Yeah. Yusa.
Yeah.
I'm gonna take this guitar.
Bring Himsa. Bring Himsa to Misa.
Bash your brains in with it.
Bring Himsa to Misa.
Yeah. Any last thoughts?
How
How you guys feel where Star Wars is going now?
I'm all happy. I tried to vary my I was excited, but I tried to keep my expectations realistic with this movie. I was like, everybody got really again the age old thing. The trailers for the Phantom Menace were really good, and so I was like, all right, I'm just gonna say, and it blew away my expectations.
That was why I said, guys, what if it sucks? I just wanted to make you just on edge enough, just be like, okay, what if it could suck?
I just feel like
you just
couldn't.
No, and this movie does not disappoint. It really doesn't.
Yeah, it moves the Star Wars story along, and it makes you excited for everything that's about to come out. It even makes you watching this movie made me more excited to see Rogue One, because it's just I'm just totally in this Star Wars world now, and I just want to learn backstory and all kinds of shit, and it's cool. I just think this movie was really well done.
One thing we forgot to mention, which I'll just say really quickly, is that the pace of the movie just goes
on point.
There's not really any downtime, at all.
No.
It just goes, and whereas you put it really well. You're kind of slow walking your whole way through Attack of the Clones until the last 30 minutes.
Yeah.
I will say this though. This movie kind of ends a little bit like Empire. It just stops.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's going and it's got a good pace. You're going full throttle and then it just fucking stops.
I knew if they were going, that's where they were going to stop. I didn't think they would go that far.
This movie does not end in a celebration. Just to let everybody know.
There's a slight one. Only slight. Not a big citywide celebration like the other first parts of the trilogies, but...
But it's I don't know if I was talking to you, but I was like, it's kind of like Halo 2 going into Halo 3. Halo 2 just kind of fucking stopped.
Yeah. This one's not as bad, though.
Or Halo 5. Halo 5 just kind of fucking stopped.
Yeah, Halo 5 is on a cliffhanger, man. But... Yep. Star Wars The Force Awakens. What would you guys give it?
9.5 out of 10.
Wow.
Going that far. 9.5 out of 10. Like I said, I really liked it. I really, really like it.
See, I don't want to...
Don't base your thing off me.
I know. I don't want to base it off of you, but I also don't want to base it off my fanboy hype of the movie and the fact that, I just saw it. But
go with your heart.
9.75 out of 10.
I bet.
It's everything a Star Wars fan would want this movie to be.
9 out of 10 for me. Just extremely well done movie. And that's not because it's Star Wars. That's not because of the hype. It's honestly a very good movie.
Very well made. J.J. Abrams, you impress.
You've done well, sir. I applaud.
Not enough lens flares, though.
Hopefully,
I applaud and tip my cap.
Who's doing 8? Ryan Johnson, I think his name is.
Yeah.
Ryan Johnson, yeah.
Yeah. Hopefully he can do just
Dwayne
good.
Johnson? The Rock?
And hopefully,
Rock's directing it?
Colin, what's his name? Trevorrow, or whoever did Jurassic World doing 9. Hopefully that he can do good, too.
All right.
I'm excited.
Yep. Bye.